Welcome back in that Sean podcast. I am the Big Ush. He is the Cat Daddy. We continue our review segments. As they say, Cat Daddy, what's on your mind?
Ooh, well, we just had a fun episode of the NFC South where there was quite a bit of variance in our opinions of selections, how we viewed the teams and how they drafted. It was a fun discussion, and I'm hoping some of that can carry over to the AFC South. I'm looking forward to this one.
We kept it friendly though.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, this was not another Jordan Love discussion. We kept it friendly, people. All right, with this one, we're going to start with the Houston Texans. It's doing the AFC South. So, with the number 3 overall pick, the Houston Texans select Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback out of LSU. A surprise to many except for one guy. I wonder who that guy is.
I mean, I had the position right.
All
I just had the wrong
up.
guy.
Next up, they in the 15th overall pick, they took Kenyon Green, offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. Then we go to the second round. With their first pick in the second round, they take Jalen Petrie, DB out of Baylor. With their second pick in the second round, oh wow, they take John Mechie III, wide receiver out of Alabama. Then the third round, they go back to that Alabama pipeline, taking linebacker Christian Harris. In the fourth round, they take Damian Pierce, running back out of Florida. Then in the fifth round, they take Thomas Booker, defensive tackle out of Stanford. And this is the one that Cat Day's been waiting for. Then they take Tegan Quitterano, tight end out of Oregon State. I don't care if I got it right. I said it. And then in the sixth round, they take Austin Deculus, offensive lineman out of LSU. That is the full draft. Cat Daddy, what are your thoughts?
The pros, I really like the focus on the team building that Houston had going on. I liked it. The cons, they had several players I would consider reaches, and I don't think they got good value for those picks. I think the secondary instantly improved with the selections of Derek Stingley and Jalen Petrie. So Stingley's going to be your shutdown cornerback, and Petrie's going to be that defensive back. I mean, you said it right, defensive back. He's versatile enough to play cornerback, safety. He can do slot, nickel, dime. So there's a lot there. But then I think
he's kind of like Daxton Hill light.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But with Lovie Smith's defense in his secondary, does he really need a shutdown corner like a Derek Stingley? So that's just something I had in my mind when I was thinking about that. And then you move on later to the first round.
No. Think about it. Real quick, just pause real quick because you brought that up. Who's the most famous Lovie Smith cornerback?
Oh goodness, I don't even know.
Peanut Tillman.
I remember him for the peanut punch. I don't remember him being a shutdown corner though.
He was pretty well shut down corner. He was very good.
I guess I didn't see it in those Green Bay games. Buzzing.
they did beat Green Bay a few times.
Even a blind squirrel can find a nut, so buzzing.
But not make it to the Super Bowl. Next up.
So they kept offensive lineman Kenyon Green in state, and Green's going to add some versatility to the line because he can play, I think, 4 out of the 5 positions, and I imagine that he's going to be an early starter at guard. Then Texans traded up 24 spots to select John Mechie, when players like George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore were still on the board. And considering that Mechie's coming off an ACL injury, it's very possible that they could have gotten him at 68 had they just stayed still. Instead, they gave up pick 68, they gave pick 108, they gave pick 124. So, and then Houston satisfied their linebacker position with Christian Harris. Probably need a little bit of work, but worst case scenario, he's going to give you 2 solid downs of run support. And they selected him while Nakobe Dean was still on the board in the 3rd rounds. I mean, Dean went like 8 picks later.
I'm not poo-pooing that.
I know. But it's just looking at things once we have a chance to take a step back. I did like on day 3, they selected Dameon Pierce to eventually replace Rex Burkhead as their starting running back. I love the potential that he has to this offense. Tough runner, can give you pass protection. I don't mind that they neglected the quarterback position. Roll with Davis Mills for 1 more season. If he works, great. You're a genius for taking him last year. If he doesn't work, great. Just target a first-round quarterback in this upcoming draft.
All right, so I like this draft a little bit more than you. John Mechie III is a really good player. I agree with you. I actually do agree with you. There are other receivers that were there that they were coming up. But you go up to get your guy.
I know, these just the knee-jerk reactions.
Christian Harris. I get you. Now, with Christian Harris compared to Nakobe Dean, here's the thing. We all want to dote on Nakobe Dean. And as a pick in a vacuum, fantastic pick. We'll see how it goes. But the problem here is no player at his size should have that many injuries already. What does that bode for him as a pro? Because we're not talking about like even, okay, so there's the injury to Damone Clark. Even that one, once he comes back, he's back. Or an ACL or this or that. Nakobe Dean's got like 5 different ailing injuries that are recurring. One that he put off surgery.
Yeah.
So I get you on the talent of the player, but teams get scared off on availability. And that being said, in terms of this draft, there's not really a pick that I truly dislike here, but we have to go about doing that. So, who's your favorite pick?
Favorite pick was Dameon Pierce. Love the selection. They got great value out of him because I think he was just criminally underused and underrated coming out of Florida. Tough runner, violent runner, elusive runner. And he's going to be able to stay on the field when it comes to 3rd down because not only does he catch passes, he can also pass protect. Love that pick.
My favorite player is also Dameon Pierce. This guy's going to come in and start right away. I mean, hands down, he's going to be, he's going to be an impact player for them coming on out the gate. Now, your least favorite pick.
Kenyon Green, 1st round. They selected him number 15 overall, and I was expecting to hear his name called in the 20s, and it makes me wonder if Houston expected one of the top offensive tackle prospects to be available at 13 before they traded back. Did they expect Charles Cross to be there?
From what I hear is the NFL valued Kenyon Green more than the draft community.
Well, I guess that's me included. So, I mean, the whole thing I kept thinking was, instead of Derek Stingley at 3, what if they had taken their choice of offensive tackle at 3 and then gotten someone like Trent McDuffie at number 13? Would you have rather have that combination, like a Kamakwanu and Trent McDuffie, or would you rather have Derek Stingley and Kenyon Green? But that's going to be something that we're going to have to take a look at over the years.
We will. We will have to see how that goes over the course of a few years. And, I mean, we pick who we pick, right?
Yep. Matt Corral's my number 1 quarterback. He is not quarterback 1 on a lot of people's boards, so that's perfectly fine.
All right, so for me, it is Christian Harris. Where I'm not.
Weren't you just defending him? Weren't you just defending him?
No. Where I'm not. I was not poo-pooing on them taking him in comparison to Nakobe Dean. But again, and maybe I'm different from you in this spot, they were already willing to use resources. How much is Austin Declan going to do them, or Tegan Quintariano gonna do for them this year? They could have traded up and got Chad Muma, who is a player I like so much more. If they would have got Chad Muma, shoot. But I mean, I'm not really poo-pooing the pick. It's just this. I mean, because I'm not going to knock these 5th and 6th round picks over here.
Yeah. I mean, when Christian Harris was on the board, you had Nakobe Dean still available. You had Channing Tyndale available. You had Leo Chanel available. So there was some good linebacker talent. Right. I get it.
All right, next up, we have the Tennessee Titans. Oh, this one's going to be fun. So, in the first round, they trade away A.J. Brown to select Treylon Burks. Then, in the second round, they select Roger McCreary, cornerback out of Auburn. And if you don't know, Treylon Burks is wide receiver out of Arkansas. But if you've watched this, you know Cat Daddy has told you this
many times.
Then in the third round, they select Nicholas Petit-Frere, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Then they take Malik Willis in that same round, quarterback out of Liberty. In the fourth round, they take running back Hassan Haskins, running back out of Michigan. And then I'm going to need some help on this next name.
Nope, I'm just going Chigakonkwo.
Tight end out of Maryland. In the fifth round, they get Kyle Phillips, wide receiver out of UCLA. And then in the sixth round, their final picks, Theo Jackson, cornerback out of Tennessee. And then Chase Campbell, linebacker out of Ole Miss. And I'm going to say this. I'm not the biggest fan of this draft. I really am not. You had cap space, my guys. You could have signed A.J. Brown. Now, fair enough. You trade him away. You get A.J. Brown younger. But you have to develop him. And Treylon Burks is not apples to apples A.J. Brown. There is no guarantee he's going to be as good as Brown was. So, not the biggest fan of that move. It has nothing to do with the Eagles. I just don't think it's a good team building aspect for the Titans. Then you already know how I feel about Roger McCreary. He's a good player, but he's short and he's not long and he's slow. He should not have gone in the second round. I like their third round. I like getting Nicholas. I think Petit Frere is a good value there, and I like Malik Willis there. So I like him on this team. Then everything else, I'm just like, meh. They got fast tight end. Can he play? You go ahead.
Coming into this draft, we knew two things. We knew that A.J. Brown wanted to get paid, and we knew that Ryan Tannehill was not the long-term answer at quarterback. But because of Tannehill's contract, I mean, he's set to count nearly $39 million against the cap this season. They couldn't afford to pay A.J. Brown, who is looking for $22 million, maybe a little bit more.
They had cap space. They could have.
All Tennessee was willing to offer was $16. So maybe it was medicals, maybe it was injury concerns that prevented them from paying up. But
he did have some injury issues.
They traded him to the Eagles. They got pick 18 and they got 101, a third rounder in return for him. I like the selection of Treylon Burks, but it was a necessity after you trade A.J. Brown. So you got like A.J. Brown Jr., and now you have a rookie stepping in to fill the shoes of a veteran, which is probably going to be a temporary downgrade for the offense. Receiver. They have Robert Woods. They later picked up Kyle Phillips out of UCLA, who's going to be probably their slot wide receiver. So I like that one. So you figure those
Excuse
two,
me, sir.
Robert Woods. Which part are you excusing me?
You mean Adam Humphries light?
Yeah. So it should be a decent trio, and then you add a very athletic tight end with a
Remember
Conquo.
They had Adam Humphries.
So they picked up a good tight end, I thought, with the Conquo, and he's probably. I mean, they've needed a tight end since Jonnu Smith left, so that was a good one. They added
everybody. Cat Daddy's doing some window dressing here, but he doesn't feel too dissimilar from me on this draft. He's just doing some window dressing here.
I'm trying to speak to some of the positives because I have a feeling I have them ranked higher in my overall draft than you do. Now, they did add to their secondary.
I know what you're doing.
They added to the secondary with Roger McCreary in the second. They added to their offensive line with Petit Frere in the third. And I thought those were pretty good value picks, both of them. McCreary's going to be good man coverage skills, but that size and length might create problems when he's going against the bigger, stronger wide receivers.
And the speed? Man coverage. With that speed? You better put that boy in cover 3.
I know. I thought the second round was a good spot for him to go, so I don't think he was overdrafted. But Petit Frere, I thought, was a good value.
He's going to get bullied in the league.
That's what they're going to have to put him in position to succeed. That's up to the coaching staff at that point. Petit Frere could be your future right tackle, which means that, last year's pick, Dylan Redunds, is going to have to kick into guard. And then, after passing on him 3 times in this draft, the 4th time is a charm, and the Tennessee Titans select one of the biggest steals of the entire draft in Malik Willis. That's what I got.
All right. So my favorite pick is Malik Willis. You already have had Ryan Tannehill there. Everybody thought it was going to be Desmond Ridder because of Ryan Tannehill, and that's the big comp there. But they see what they have with Ryan Tannehill, and Ryan Tannehill has got them where? Yes, to the playoffs, but he got them over the hump. No, when they get to play in these late in the year with these better teams, his limitations show. And I mean, back to the whole, it's not my job to mentor. Maybe Malik Willis should clap back and say, well, you know something? I don't want to learn how to throw 4 picks in a playoff game. But I think Malik Willis has an upside that Ryan Tannehill does not. And I want to know how long it's going to take the fan base to say, we want to see Malik Willis.
Malik Willis is also my favorite pick of the Tennessee Titans draft. He's going to have the ability to watch and learn this season. Maybe receive some tutelage and mentoring. Maybe, but he's going to be able to watch and learn, and that's exactly what he needs to do. He has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this class, but he's, I think, still quite raw. He still has some areas that he needs to improve, and the Titans cannot move on or shouldn't move on from Tannehill this season because he would create nearly $19 million of dead money, which I think is something that they would not be able to afford.
Disgusting.
So the earliest that they can move on from Tannehill is next season when he doesn't hurt that much against the cap. So let Ryan Tannehill play, let Malik Willis learn, get up to speed with the NFL game. And 2023,
with NFL coaches,
you have your starting quarterback, Malik Willis. And I'm glad they didn't take him any earlier. I'm glad they didn't trade up for him or do anything like that.
Right. All right, my least favorite pick was between two picks. Well, I think I'm going to let you have the second one if that's going to be yours. So I'm going to go with my brand. Sorry, Roger McCreary. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Not a great athlete. Not long. Not tall. I just don't see a second round player. Yeah, he's got some good technical ability, but he's gonna get bullied. You better put this boy in cover 3, let him see the field, and drive on the ball.
Yep.
Your least favorite.
I'm curious who your other least favorite was. Was it Kyle Phillips?
No.
No? All right. So I'll say my guy, and we'll see if it's the same guy.
I guess it's going to be yours right now.
All right. My least favorite pick was Hassan Haskins in the 4th rounds.
Yes, it was.
Just because I thought it was too early for Haskins to go. I didn't think that was good value for him.
Not to mention, what's the point?
They got like a baby Derrick Henry. That's what they got. I just thought they could get him later on day 3. I didn't think they had to get him at that point. But if you have any potential long-term concerns about Derrick Henry remaining healthy, or you're even considering bringing down the workload a little bit, then Hassan Haskins is like a mini-me.
I guess. All right, moving on to the next draft. We have the Indianapolis Colts. So, they did not have a first-round pick, which I am factoring into this. So, this is going to be a complexity that I have to just basically explain. So, 2 years ago, they traded for Carson Wentz for a potential. It's a 2, but could be a 1. Well, Carson Wentz played enough to make it a 1. Too bad he didn't play well. So they traded Carson Wentz to the Commanders for, what was that, a 3 and was it a 5?
Something, yeah.
And then they flipped that 3 that I believe that they got, and they got Matt Ryan. Now, where I think Matt Ryan is a better player than Carson Wentz, does not forgive them for losing a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. I don't know. I think the Eagles GM has got to deal with the devil. He gets a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. He gets a first-round pick for Sam Darnold. What in the world is going on here? Anyways, so as a result, their first pick in the 2nd round is Alec Pierce, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Then the 3rd round, they have 3 picks. Jelani Woods, tight end out of Virginia. Bernard Raymond, offensive tackle out of Central Michigan. Nick Cross, safety out of Maryland. In the 5th round, they take Eric Johnson, defensive tackle out of Missouri State. Then in the 6th round, they take Andrew Ogletree, tight end out of Youngstown State. 2nd, 6th round pick, they get Curtis Brooks, defensive tackle out of Cincinnati. And I guess they needed some brains in the building, so they in the 7th round, they take Rodney Thomas, DB out of Yale. Cat Day, how you feel about this draft?
I think I might feel better about this draft than you do. Coming in, we knew they had no first round pick, but we knew they needed pass catching talents to go along with Michael Pittman, and we knew that they needed a future left tackle. And I think that's exactly what they got with their first 3 picks. The first 2 were to make sure that Matt Ryan had better weapons than Carson Wentz. So you're taking Alec Pierce, you're taking Jelani Woods. Some people are going to question the selection of Alec Pierce over Sky Moore, but I don't mind it because Alex Pierce for me is a guy who's got the size and the speed to be very successful. So Michael Pittman Jr. has a new running mate. I think the Jelani Woods selection, maybe Indianapolis can have a reliable pass catching tight end that they've been lacking since Dallas Clark. So I like that selection, very athletic. The 3rd selection of Bernard Raymond, I like this selection because it's in the 3rd round. I wouldn't like Raymond in the 1st round, probably not the 2nd round, but getting him in the 3rd round, I think that's some good value. He might have some limitations right away, but you can see him becoming a starting tackle with the Colts. That's the value. Then you got Nick Cross. He could be viewed as a reach at number 96, and I get it, but safeties were coming off the board fast and furious. There were 9 safeties selected within the first 3 rounds, and he was the 8th one to go. He may not start right away, but he's going to get snaps as part of the rotation. And then the Colts round out the draft with adding to the trenches, adding Eric Johnson in that line, getting another athletic tight end who could be used as a vertical threat with Andrew Ogletree. And then overall, I thought they did a pretty good job even without a first round selection.
Didn't want to talk about the guy from Yale? All right, here's the thing. I do not poo-poo this draft at all. They what's the rule? Cat Daddy, what's the rule?
Gotta factor in the previous trades or any trades that affect this draft.
No. I'm talking about the rule in drafting.
Oh, team building.
The rule in drafting is pick good players.
Yeah.
Pick good players. First rule is pick good players. Hands down. And they picked good players. I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo Alex Pierce, even though I like Sky Moore better. In the vacuum, that's a good pick, and that's an indie pick. Jelani Woods, everybody knows I like Jelani Woods. This dude's going to be a monster running down the field. I like Bernard Raymond. I like Nick Cross. Eric Johnson is a very good pick. I mean, Alec Ogletree, Curtis Brooks. These are good picks. I'm not going to poo-poo this draft at all. Now, that being said, what's your favorite pick?
Bernard Raymond, 3rd round. I think getting a potential starting left tackle in the 3rd round is great value, and it's up to the Colts staff to make sure that he develops properly. I like that pick in the 3rd rounds.
I agree with you. This is Bernard Raymond. I mean, that is great value to get him there. He should have been a late 2nd round pick. They got him in the 3rd round. That's fantastic. Least favorite pick.
While I like Nick Cross as a player, I'm not sure the value was there to take him at the end of the 3rd. I mean, I get it. Again, safeties were coming off the board a lot quicker than I thought they were going to, but they also gave up a 5th round selection in this draft, and they gave up a 3rd rounder in next year's draft to move up and select Nick Cross at the end of the 3rd. So they put some resources into that selection, and I just don't think the value was there.
Mine is going to be Alec Pierce, where I don't poo-poo the selection per se. I still do think Sky Moore would have been a better player. This is what I'm saying.
I get it. I'm
I could have
higher.
gone with Jelani because there's other tight ends I like better too.
Yeah, I'm higher on Alec Pierce than I was Sky Moore. So that'll be something that we have to debate for the next couple of years.
You know, that's that Desmond Ritter all over again.
Yep.
All right, next up we have Jacksonville Jaguars.
Do we have to?
Who they do the rule. They just did it wrong.
They did a lot of things wrong.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round, they take, with the first overall pick in the NFL draft, they take Trayvon Walker, defensive end out of Georgia. Then they trade back into the first round to take Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. Then the third round, they take Luke Fortner, center out of Kentucky. Then they take Chad Muma, linebacker out of Wyoming. In the fifth round, they take Snoop Connor, running back out of Ole Miss. Sixth round, they take Gregory Jr., cornerback out of, I ain't pronouncing that school. The seventh round, they take, stop it, Monteric Brown, cornerback out of Arkansas. You know you weren't pronouncing that school either. All right, so this draft, it bothers me. Because I say take good players. Well, they took good players. But then they forgot the second role, team building. All right, so I will not knock the Trayvon Walker draft pick. I get it. The dude is freakish. If it hits, yeah. I'm not going to knock Devin Lloyd pick. I make sense. I don't know about trading up for it, but hey, you know, we all make decisions. Then Luke Fortner, I like the pick. Here's the thing. I really like Chad Muma. But why? You just signed a linebacker to a mega deal. Is Devin Lloyd or Muma going to play safety? Pass rusher? Like, why? Snoop Connor, I don't really get it. I think they could have gone later. I honestly have no clue who Gregory Jr. is. I didn't even know people had the last name Jr. Stop. And Brown, that's a 7th round flyer. Any thoughts?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of thoughts, and there's no sugarcoating it. I did not like this draft. I didn't like it. They had a lot of holes in the roster, and they had a quarterback that needs support. Instead of surrounding their generational quarterback, they instead decided to spend 5 of their 7 draft picks on defense. I didn't like the Trayvon Walker pick at number 1. I feel like they should have selected an offensive tackle that would have fit their system, whether it was a Kabakwanu, Evan Neal, but I also would not have elected to extend Cam Robinson, so there's that. Then they trade up.
It's weird, man.
to get back in the first round and draft Devin Lloyd. And I think Devin Lloyd is a good player. I liked Devin Lloyd. But Jacksonville traded away number 33, 106, and 180 to move up to draft an off-ball linebacker when they spent $15 million a year
Is he, though?
on Aluakun.
Is he, though? Is he I'm hearing, I mean, he's the best blitzing linebacker. Maybe he's going to be a pass rusher.
They got Trayvon Walker number 1. They already had Josh Allen on the roster.
It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
I don't get it as much as I want to. And then to make things worse, they drafted Chad Muma early in the 3rd round. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Chad Muma. And I know your roster is
center.
I know your roster is weak, but why are you doubling down on off-ball linebackers when you just signed one in free agency?
Tripling.
Yeah. The Muma pick would have been a lot better had they not traded up or even drafted Devin Lloyd altogether. You substitute anybody else with that second selection.
It would have been better if they hadn't signed a linebacker.
See, I would have liked Muma even as long as Lloyd wasn't there. I wouldn't have minded that so much. But speaking of the 3rd round, they finally give Trevor Lawrence some support and some help by selecting Luke Fortner. And he'll eventually become their starting center, but you're waiting until your 3rd pick, beginning of the 3rd round, before you invest in any offensive talents, and you decide to go center. Okay.
It's the opposite of what the Saints did.
The Jaguars traded 2 6th-round picks to move up in the 5th round to select Snoop Connor. I don't know if I would have given up
gotten in the 6th round.
I know, with any of those picks they had, yeah. All of these selections, and only 2 went to offense. 1 went to center, but it was a 3rd round, so it's not that bad. And none of them went to wide receiver help. It's like, while the NFL is zigging toward wide receivers on a rookie contract, the Jaguars are zagging to paying underperforming veterans large amounts of money. They're giving Christian Kirk $18 per year. They're giving Zay Jones $8 per year. Trent Baalke needs to be gone. This is a complete disservice to Trevor Lawrence.
Stream. All right. My favorite pick. Luke Fortner. It's an offensive lineman. He's going to be very good. That's about it.
By process of elimination, it's Luke Fortner because it was really the only player who can directly help Trevor Lawrence and keep him protected.
All right, least favorite pick, where I want to go one of the linebackers. I can't make sense of the Snoop Connor pick. You traded up to get a running back that's okay, where you already have a roster full of running backs that can already play. I don't understand it. Go ahead.
My least favorite pick is anybody not named Luke Fortner or Chad Muma.
No, you can't use that.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Pick one.
Devin Lloyd. I like the Chad Muma pick. I think that would be a good selection if Devin Lloyd wasn't already selected. And it's not that Devin Lloyd's not a good player. I like Devin Lloyd. I think he's going to be a good pro. Why? All right. Can we start with our number 4? Yeah.
The draft classes. Yeah, let's go with number 4. Let's say at the same time.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, what's there to say here? Like, I have no clue what they're doing. That's all I got to say on that. You?
I said what I had to say about him already, so.
All right. My number 3 is the Tennessee Titans, where I like parts of their draft. I dislike a lot of. I dislike their process. Trading AJ Brown instead of paying him when you have cap space to get Treylon Burks. It's not that I dislike Treylon Burks. He's not AJ Brown right now. Getting an undersized corner in the second round. Getting Derrick Henry light for whatever reason. I don't know. I just you go ahead. You're number 3.
Houston Texans. While there's some picks I liked, I thought there were just several times when they reached and they what I felt was traded up unnecessarily. And you're giving away draft capital for players who probably could have been there had you stayed put.
All right. Number 2, Houston Texans for me. They were almost my number 1. They picked some home run players. In my personal opinion, I'm not as low on Kenyon Green as you are. I understand your issue with what they did to get John Mechie, but I like that they got John Mechie. And I think Dameon Pierce is a home run pick.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
So I mean that helped them get above the Tennessee. All right, who's your number 2?
Number 2 would be the Tennessee Titans. I thought they did a pretty good job of adding to their team. They're a playoff caliber team. They do take a slight step backwards with the A.J. Brown trade. But if there really are concerns about injury, health, and being on the field for 17 games, then it's best that they traded him now as opposed to paying him $22-25 million per year and end up having it not be worth it.
But
so
are they still a playoff team?
If Treylon Burks,
we saw what happened to them without Julio Jones, without AJ Brown.
I know. It's going to be risky. They have Treylon Burks, they have Kyle Phillips, they have Robert Woods, Chigakonkwo, Ogletree. I know they don't have Ogletree, that was the Colts. But Derrick Henry comes back healthy. They're not going to be relying on the passing game. It's ground and pound.
You still need a passing game, though.
I get it.
All right, next up, Indianapolis Colts. I do still give them a knock for the whole Carson Wentz first round debacle, but getting Matt Ryan kind of helps with that. Other than that, they pick good players. Their first 3 players are going to make immediate impact. Nick Cross is going to be a good player regardless if you like him or not.
Yeah, I have the Colts as my number 1 team as well for this conference, even without that first round pick. And I think everybody else had a first round pick. They had no first round pick, and I thought they did much better drafting overall. So, yeah, they have contributors early. That's what I see.
Time to rank these teams after the draft.
Ooh.
And my top team is going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep, I agree with that one. Matt Ryan at quarterback, these new offensive weapons, I think that's going to make a difference.
My next team is going to be the Tennessee Titans, but it's not going to be by a lot. I think the Tennessee Titans fall pretty hard, personally.
I think there will be a drop. They're a team that can contend for the playoffs. They can contend for the division just because you're facing Houston and Jacksonville a total of 4 times. So I'm not saying there's 4 automatic wins, but fill in the blank. So I still think they have a shot. Yeah. Key for them is going to be Derrick Henry. The key is not the passing game. The key is Derrick Henry.
Yeah, but you still need a passing game. Brings me to, I think, my number 3 is the Houston Texans. It's all about Davis Mills. If Davis Mills can actually grow and shine more in his second year, I think Lovie Smith can work wonders with a defense. So this team could surprise us this year.
Houston Texans are my number 3 team as well for this for this division. While there are players I thought were reaches, I think they did a much better job of team building and surrounding their quarterback, whomever it may be, this year, next year, with talents. So I thought they did a much better job.
And then, of course, bottom of the basement, I think this is going to be one of the worst teams again this year. The Jacksonville Jaguars, no clue what they're doing.
Do they pull off the trifecta and have the number 1 overall pick for 3 consecutive seasons? It's possible.
Yikes. I mean, if they do, this next year they'll be able to trade out.
Or Trevor Lawrence will just decide to retire and they'll have to use that number 1 overall pick for quarterback.
That's all we wrote, folks. Hope you enjoyed it.